Alrighty, what is up? It's the Gary Ayd Show here on the Cave, cavetalkradio.com, the Cave Talk Radio app, and Facebook and YouTube Live. Good to have you aboard. Gary Ayd, Rich, and Selmo. We are ready to go. Opening rant. Kevin Durant debuts with the Suns last night against the Charlotte team that says it plays in the NBA. And, well, it went pretty good. It would have been very concerning if it didn't. Not going to be, giving too many flowers for putting the smash on Charlotte. That's not exactly impressive. But they were on a 5-game winning streak, and Durant was brutally efficient and looked like he never missed a game. So that's a good sign for the Suns. We broke this team down a little bit yesterday in terms of how I see them all fitting together. But, one thing I noticed yesterday immediately was how they went to him early. And I think that that's one thing maybe Brooklyn never did, and even Golden State maybe never did. They didn't always go to Durant early because there were other mouths to feed, so to speak. Not to say there's not in Phoenix with Devin Booker and Ayton and Paul, but Durant is clearly and unquestionably their go-to guy. So, and not that he wasn't in these other places, but for whatever reason, they never went to him early. And I always thought that's strange. And they went to him right away, early and often, and he was looking to score right from the jump. And I'm going to be interested to see, Rich, if that's a trend or if this was just a welcome to the team thing, how they utilize him when they go to him. It's going to be an adjustment period, a balancing act, and certainly it's going to be more pronounced against real teams. But for one night anyway, I was kind of surprised at how assertive they were, the team was, in ensuring Durant was assertive right out of the gate.
If they're smart, they'll continue to do this. They looked efficient. They looked sharp. It didn't hurt Booker at all. He had 37.
Yep.
Ayton had 16 and 16, so he looked energized.
That's what you want.
I don't see an issue. Golden State never did go to him early, but if you notice, they always went to him late.
Yes. Oh, they always did.
And I think if you can get a combination of that, this can really be effective and work. And why Brooklyn didn't do it, I don't know.
Yeah, it never made sense to me. I think personally, Brooklyn was just a bad team that just never gelled. This team, I think, is more likely to fit. The question I have is, what are they going to do against the best in the West, the specific matchups? Like, I think there's two teams in particular that are going to give them a lot of problems. I think it's Denver, which of course they will. They're the best team in the Western Conference by record most of the year. And I think it's your Clippers. The Clippers,
Clippers have wing defenders.
That's it. If they can get out of their own way and execute consistently, they have the wings and the athleticism to bother this Suns team. I don't know if they can score enough to win the series, but they might be able to slow down Phoenix enough where they can. But Denver in particular would scare me if I'm Phoenix, because Denver has a guy you might have heard of named Jokic, who, let's just say the lack of discipline as a defender that Ayton consistently exhibits is not going to go well against that guy.
No, not at all. And conversely, though, on the other side, who does Denver have to guard him?
To guard Ayton?
To guard Durant.
Oh, Durant. Well, no one can guard Durant. We know
right.
That. I mean,
so that might be a wash between those two.
Yeah, the difference is Jokic, when he gets flowing, could end up with like 25 points on like 9 shots and like 16 assists.
Right.
So Durant might get 36 and have like 8 assists. Jokic might get like 27 and have like 15 assists. But you're right. I mean, conversely, I don't know what Denver does to slow to slow them down. I tell you one thing though, I think Jamal Murray and Michael Porter Jr. Michael Porter Jr. could be an X factor in that series.
He could, because I think Murray and Booker will kind of
cancel each other out.
Yep. Although I think Booker's a little more efficient.
Yep. So it comes
Murray's
down.
explosive.
Murray's explosive. So it really comes down then at that point to the production of CP3 versus Michael Porter. Not that they'll be guarding each other, just their overall production. That should be a fun matchup if we get a chance to see it. I also wonder about the Dallas Mavericks. I feel, I was saying this today, I feel that the Dallas Mavericks have the ability to be a scary team in the playoffs, because I think we're going to see this team at the very end of the season figure out these tentative hesitancies of who does what when. And when they do figure that out, and I have confidence they will, that's going to be scary to defend. Right now, they're not scary because they don't know what they're doing. They're uncomfortable, and you can see it. But that won't last forever. I really don't believe it will. I do think we're going to see at some point the proverbial light go on, and then that will be the scariest 8 or 9 seed we've seen in a long time.
Yeah.
That would be an interesting matchup to me, Dallas and Phoenix. If Phoenix were to somehow get like the 1 or 2 seed, and Dallas the 8 or 9 or 7 or whatever. I mean, because the West is so bunched up. Who the hell knows what's going to happen yet?
I don't have that feeling about Dallas that you do.
Okay.
Not yet, anyway.
Well, no, they're not there yet. I'm predicting that they're going to get there. This is a straight prediction. I think those two guys are too good and too smart of basketball players not to figure out how to blend their talents. But I do think it's obviously growing pains right now. But I'm predicting that they're going to figure it out at like the 11th hour with like 4 games left. Someone's going to say, have you watched Dallas recently? Like, it's going to be one of those.
Yeah.
So I think what I'm saying is this is a very different team in the playoffs than it is right now. And that would make them a wild card to me.
They could just as easily flame out in the play-in round.
Well, they might. I mean, look, I'm making a prediction here.
They're so hard to predict right now.
Yeah, I'm making a prediction here that they figure it out and that, they manage to get in. But, if I'm wrong, I'm wrong. Hey, I've been wrong before. Is that
right? Haven't we all?
But that's my expectation. That's my prediction anyway. Talk about the NBA. There was a weird story. We were talking about it before going on air. We're going to get to that on the other side of the break. We're going to do the question of the day at 10:30 today. So a weird story that is. Yeah,
I thought it came out of the Onion or something. I had a hard time.
Babylon
Is this the Babylon Bee?
Yeah,
I don't believe this.
Like crazy, crazy stuff. Hopefully it's not true. If any or all of it's true, there's a major player in the NBA whose reputation is going to be radically, permanently changed for good reason. If this is true, we'll explain on the other side. It's the Gary Ayd Show here on The Cave.
Do you own a timeshare? Well, face the facts. You made a mistake. You made a bad purchase. A timeshare is not an investment. It's a money pit that continues forever. If you use your timeshare, that's great. But if you don't, and you want to legally get out of your contract, call my friends right now at the Timeshare Exit Hotline. They're an experienced team of lawyers who help good people like you get out of a timeshare contract that they just don't want. Don't throw away your money on maintenance fees. Use it for things you really want. We can help you end your timeshare contract and stop the money drain immediately. If you're ready to move on with your timeshare, call our team right now.
Cancel your timeshare now with a free call. 800-741-9557. 800-741-9557. 800-741-9557. That's 800-741-9557. If you're living with diabetes and using insulin, you know the pain of pricking your fingers over and over again. Ouch! Well, by wearing a small remote device called a continuous glucose monitor, or CGM, you can reduce the pain of pricking your fingers fingers. If you administer insulin 3 or more times per day or use an insulin pump, call now and learn how a CGM can help you.
Painless. No more pricking my finger.
No finger pricks.
Convenience. They delivered it free and they took care of all the paperwork.
You can reduce pain right away. Plus, it's accurate, easy to use, and helps you spend more time in range. And if you have insurance, you can get a new CGM at little or no out-of-pocket cost. Call now and get free shipping of your new CGM. Plus, we'll bill your insurance for you. 800-826-5884. 800-826-5884. 800-826-5884. That's 800-826-5884.
So John Morant, like I felt like when I was reading this story, and God, I hope it's not true. We're laughing about it. If it's true, it's not a laughing matter at all. But
not a bit.
When I was reading this story, I thought I was reading a script for a mission in Grand Theft Auto. Like, dude, he's waving guns at mall cops, punching teens allegedly 12 or 13 times, threatening. Like, I mean, this was nuts. And this is all alleged. And, you know, my initial reaction is show me. I mean, if it's a mall cop, he probably has a body cam, or she, I think it was a guy, the cop, or whatever. The cop probably has a body cam. Or there's definitely video surveillance on the property.
A mall cop? I don't know if he has a body cam.
Well, if he doesn't, there's definitely video surveillance across the property.
Well, it happened outside the property.
Well, they have video cameras, you know, on top of lampposts and stuff that video parking lots at malls. The mall by me definitely does. I mean, so there should be video of this someplace. So
I mean, the first incident with the kid sued him.
Right.
And the DA didn't prosecute. So
right. That doesn't sound good because I mean, think about it. You're going to sue someone. You're going to pick a famous basketball player that is recognizable in town that you know has a lot of money, right? I mean, just to be cynical here for a second. Yeah, so
right.
there is a fair or not, and I think it is fair, but fair or not, there is a, if not from a codified legal perspective, certainly in a practical sense, a higher burden of proof when suing a star or famous person than there is a regular person, because there is the natural suspicion that's you're just trying to get a pound of flesh.
Money, yeah.
I mean, and that's just reasonable. I mean, it just is. You know, I mean, why would you sue someone who's worth, you know, $5,000 unless they did something that it's about the principle? You know, there's a lot of reason to sue John Morant. So,
right. But then, I mean, when TMZ came out with the stuff that Morant and his entourage punched the kid repeatedly, and Morant like threatened to quote light his house up.
Yeah, I mean
it's concerning. And with the cop, I mean, he went there with like about 9 people. Why? It's not a good look because his mother had a dispute with an employee at the finish line. Man, you got to rise above this crap.
Yeah, I mean, look, if
really do. Director of Mall Security met the group and asked them to leave the parking lot. And one of Morant's people popped the guard in the head. The mall cop filed a report because he felt threatened, and then he heard Morant say, "Let's find out what time he gets off." I mean, schoolyard stuff should not be applied in the real world if this is true.
Yeah, yeah.
You got to be above that because you're a target.
Oh, without a doubt. And you know what's
not to mention that this could annihilate your career.
Well, there's that.
And both the kid and the cops and the cop in separate incidents said Morant had a gun on him.
Mm-hmm. Well,
first of all, let your bodyguards do that. You don't carry the gun. Never. Because you're the one's going to be reliable.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not really so concerned of all these things. The one I'm concerned about the least, that bothers me the least, on face, without knowing the details of its legality or licensing or whatever, is the possession of the firearm. Because to me, if it's his and he's legally allowed to carry it and he can prove that, that's his Second Amendment right. And he didn't shoot anyone, so whatever. The rest of this stuff.
Yeah, but be smart.
Well, but I don't care. Like that's like the least of my worries here. I don't really care about that if it's a legal gun, because there's nothing illegal about that piece of it if it's legally his and registered and stuff. Now, the rest of this stuff, saying let's find out what time he gets off, and saying light his house up, and allegedly punching people. Now we're talking, criminal acts, particularly the punching. I mean, that's assault, right? So you're talking at least a high level misdemeanor, maybe a low level felony. So, I mean, that stuff is serious business. And
well, I agree with you there, but getting into fights is one thing. It's stupid, but it's one thing. But the repeated incidents with firearms. Remember the one with the Pacers?
No, I don't.
Last year, where a post-game confrontation happened with the Pacers, a friend of Morant's, Devontae Peck, walked onto the court to yell at the players. Peck was also there, and he was mentioned in the teenagers' lawsuit as well, so they must hang together a lot. But after Peck and his, quote, 4 or 5 other men confronted the Pacers outside of the arena, Morant and Peck got into an SUV and slowly drove by the bus. As the SUV approached, a Pacers player and staff noticed a laser beam aimed through the windows. Pacers security guard said that's 100% a gun. That's just stupid.
Yeah, that's dumb. And
Morant's coming out saying, well, the media unfairly targets the Grizzlies. Oh, come on.
Really? I mean, the media is probably the biggest problem in the world right now in a lot of ways. But not the sports media, just the media at large. But there's no benefit to any media outlet, national media outlet especially, targeting a team in Memphis, Tennessee. It's not a big
he's talking about the Memphis media. And I don't know. When I saw that, I looked through some Memphis newspaper stuff, and I don't see them really hammering on the Grizzlies.
I can't speak to the Memphis media, but except for this, I happen to know a little bit the program director at the flagship radio station that carries the Grizzly games, the ESPN affiliate in Memphis.
Okay.
My buddy Brad. He's a good guy. And I know for a fact that they cherish their relationship with the Grizzlies and their status as the flagship. I know for a fact it makes them a good amount of money and gets them big numbers locally.
And they're the game in town.
They're the thing in town, and I would be beyond stunned on no grounds other than just it would be business suicide and that's a perfect example of local media, for them to target the Grizzlies in any way, particularly Ja Morant, because if they're caught doing that and it's proven, they're toast. It's not like there won't be other stations that would like to have that contract.
Right. And ESPN carries a lot of clout.
Why would they do that? They wouldn't. And I assume,
and like I said, I went through some of the Memphis local paper stuff.
Yes, I was going to say, like the commercial.
I didn't see anything I found.
Yeah, it just doesn't make business sense to slander the local number one team in town. Like if you're local media that ges to cover them, it would be stupid to do. You want to cover them fairly and, when justly, harshly, but you don't want to target them. I mean, look, I'm sure they don't want to talk about this.
Right.
You know what I mean?
I mean, they have to.
Well, of course.
Yeah, they're probably not.
I mean, it's not good.
They're not happy about it.
Because play this out to
But I've seen athletes do this all the time. When stuff
yes.
comes down on them, blame the media.
Oh, yes.
It's
absolutely.
conveniently always the media's
It's a convenient scapegoat. And a lot of times it is the media's fault. But in this case, it's not.
Not as many as a lot of people think. Sometimes it's just the player.
Yeah. I have a lot of problems with media. A lot. But in any event, in this particular example, in this particular incident, we need more stuff to come out. We need to get some more facts and figure out what actually happened. Let's prove some of this stuff. But I'll tell you this.
I can't see this guard filing a police report and not suing if it's nothing.
I don't know. I can. I think people are dumb, and I think people will try anything to get a quick buck when they know they have a famous person on the hook.
But if they're not suing, well, where's the buck?
Well, there was a suit filed already.
Yeah, with the kid, not the mall cop.
Right, not yet. This is still developing. I mean, he could maybe join the kid's suit. He could file a suit later. I mean, there's any number of things he could do. Or he could not. I don't know. But I don't believe the mall cop any more than I believe anyone else. I have to see it. Yeah, you have to prove it to me. But
if I'm the Grizzlies, I do ask him about some of the people he's hanging out with.
Yeah, my guess is they've probably already had those conversations. I'm sure
and his friend was banned from the arena for a year.
Yeah, I was gonna say, I'm assuming these guys he's hanging out with are not new names to the Grizzlies, and they've probably had these conversations before.
I would hope so.
Yeah, I would.
Because I don't care whose friend you are. You don't go on the court and threaten other teams' players.
Well, no, you can't do that. You can't do that. And I'll tell you this: if you're the Grizzlies, if this goes worst case scenario, and Ja Morant, does time, which worst case scenario, when you're talking about hitting people, that's a possibility. That would be devastating. I mean, we're a long way from that. I mean, but I'm just saying that like that. But that's to illustrate the point that if I'm the local media, I don't want to talk about this story and build this story up because Ja Morant's my meal ticket, right? Like that he makes the Grizzlies relevant, which makes my job more relevant. That goes away. Now all of a sudden, my relevancy goes away. I don't want that.
Right. And they're not that many years removed from 13,000 people a night.
Right. Exactly. It's true. It really is. All right. Well, let's take a quick break. We'll come back. We'll do the question of the day. We'll close out the hour with a little recap of last night's basketball games. Then we'll have hour 2. We'll do our baseball preview. We continue in the AL and the NL East. Today we're doing Philadelphia and Toronto. And then we will do the news you can use. And, of course, the top 5. That's what's on tap the rest of the way. Back after this, the Gary Ayd Show here on The Cave.
Do you want to save money on your next flight? Then pick up the phone and call. That's right, call. Because the best prices are not online. They're with SmartFares. See, SmartFares has special deals with the airlines. When they have unsold seats, they use SmartFares to fill them. So you get airline tickets at crazy low prices. They have access to great prices and discounts at over 500 different airlines. Plus 300,000 hotels and rental car companies. Their prices are too low to publish online. With the extra money you'll save, you can book another trip or treat yourself to dinner or shopping. So stop searching all of those travel sites to find the lowest price on your next flight. Let one of our SmartFares expert travel agents find the best price for you. Call SmartFares today and get ready to see the world with a fat wallet.
800-370-2460. 800-370-2460. 800-370-2460. That's 800-370-2460.
Come on, you watch the news. Be prepared to pay more taxes. Then if you owe back taxes or haven't filed in a few years, get ready. The IRS, the largest collection agency in the world, will be coming after you. With the power to collect taxes by any means they want to. Hey, they can freeze your bank account, your passport, even padlock your business. Oh, good times. Look, if the IRS claims you owe them $5,000 or more in back taxes and they're coming after you, don't panic. Call my friends at Get a Tax Lawyer first. Their job is to negotiate with the IRS and save you money. They're experts at it. That's all they do. And you can trust them. In some cases, they have reduced a $50,000 tax bill to less than $1,000. If you owe the IRS $5,000 or more in back taxes, call now for a free consultation.
Call 800-649-8617. 800-649-8617. 800-649-8617. That's 800-649-8617.
All right, so now it's time for the radio question of the day.
Florida is ensuring a smooth ride for student athletes seeking name, image, and likeness deals. I am KO, back in 1 minute with your sports question of the day.
You've been working hard, doing the right thing, and paying your taxes, and putting your hard-earned money in the Medicare piggy bank all your life. And now it's time to break the piggy bank and get something back. Medicare. If you didn't know it, Medicare is health insurance for people over 65, and you paid for it with your tax dollars. Medicare plans now have more benefits than ever. That's good news, especially if you're like me and looking forward to paying as little as possible for good health insurance. Call and find out what Medicare plan is best for you. Save your time. It's valuable. We've already done the research for you, and in one quick phone call, you can learn how to get the best Medicare plan designed exactly for you. Hey, it's one of the most important decisions in your life. Let us help you through it. Here's our number. Call 65 Plus Medicare now at 855-301-5506. That's 855-301-5506.
Florida Governor Ron DeSantis recently signed a bill into law that seeks to help establish financial literacy for student athletes seeking name, image, and likeness deals. The updated policy requires student athletes to participate in financial literacy programs, as well as life skills and entrepreneurship workouts before graduation. NBC reports the policy also seeks additional protections against potential nil exploitation and protects schools and coaches from liability in the event that a player's suspension negatively impacts their endorsement deals. Question: do you think financial literacy programs should be introduced at the high school or collegiate level?
Yes. All of the above. Look, they make us spend 12 years learning the same lessons in the same 4 classes every year for those 12 years. After you get past okay, maybe it's 8 years. After you get past 3rd grade, it's, guess what? History, American history. Hey, you know what? George Washington is the first president of the United States. That's grade 4. Grade 5, American history. You know, George Washington was the first president of the United States, over and over and over and over again. They do that with math. They do that with English. They do that with history. And you learn nothing of use that you could actually benefit from when you get to be an adult. It's like going into a restaurant, but you don't have your reading glasses and you're supposed to know what's on the menu. No, I don't know what's on the menu. I can't read the menu because I was never taught to read the menu. These people don't teach us jack in schools. Nothing of use.
They don't.
I don't care about quadratic equations. I do care about how compound interest works. I do care about how I can do my taxes. I do care what's APR versus what is interest rate. What is a escrow account? All that stuff we have to learn on our own by screwing up because these morons want to teach us about imaginary numbers instead of stuff that matters. This should be taught to you by the time you're in middle school, some of this stuff, some of the basics of business mathematics. It matters a lot. This other crap doesn't, not even a little. It drives me nuts. End of rant.
I agree. I've been going on for years about how in middle school, people don't even learn how to balance a checkbook, but they learn a lot of useless stuff.
Yes. How to solve for X.
And it goes through with basics. I talk to people who are shocked that I do my own taxes. Why? Read. It's not that bad. You'll figure it out.
Yeah.
If you try to read and learn something,
yes,
instead of watching YouTube videos, you may actually learn enough to do your taxes and find some discounts for yourself. I've been doing that for years. And I think anyone who goes and pays $300 to have your taxes done to get a $900 federal return is out of their minds.
Yeah, I mean, I agree with that to a degree. I think
It depends on how complex it is.
that's what I was just
Dobby.
gonna say. Like I used to do my taxes myself. The last few years, I now don't because I have business
You have a
expenses
business.
and stuff, and it gets
Right.
complicated. And I mean, could I figure it out? Yeah, probably. But at a certain
Do you
point,
have the
I
time?
don't want to. I'd rather
Right.
pay.
But if you can't work with a 1040 and a couple of 1099s,
Yeah, well, yeah, if that's all you've
that's
got, I mean, like when I was just a
and
W
what do most people have?
a
Bank
W-2.
accounts, yeah,
Yep.
a W-2 and some bank accounts
Yep.
you might or something you may get interest on.
Right. Maybe you have a mortgage, so you have a sheet for that. And that's that's
And
all
you also have a good deductible.
right. That's all kind of pretty easy.
Right. But
Um,
those are basics that you should be taught.
right.
Just basics. As you get in through high school, yeah, everyone should learn more about economics and less about equations.
Yes.
Unless you're going into certain fields, do you really need to go past calculus?
No, I don't even think you need algebra. I mean, the truth of the matter is, if I'm a more to the spirit of this question, if I'm a regarded athlete by the time I'm like a freshman or sophomore, by the time I'm in high school, this is what I think. I think there should be adapted, customized curriculum that are specific and exclusive to athletes of some renown at the high school level. Because now in the modern world, and when I say modern world, I'm just talking the last 2 years since NIL has become a thing.
Right.
No one else really is like, if I'm just your regular non-athlete student or just a guy who is a backup on like the public high school football team, like this doesn't apply to me. But like
Right.
if I'm a
Well, it doesn't apply to 98% of the people,
right,
honestly.
no, it doesn't. But if I'm a athlete of some renown, I am absolutely benefiting from learning what these deals mean, how they work, how they're negotiated, what the person paying me is going to expect or want, what to look out for as unreasonable, what to charge, how do you determine what you're worth, all that stuff matters to me. And
Right.
having a curriculum that's a math class that could easily be a custom math class that's much more relevant to their lives, it means potentially millions of dollars,
Right.
it would be so much better than shoving imaginary numbers and quadratic equations down their throats that they're not paying attention to. And you don't
Right.
care anyway, because you're going to pass them because they mean money for the school. So instead of
Right.
playing this BS game, teach them stuff that they'll actually try to learn. And if they don't want to learn that, that's on them. But,
Right.
give them something that they should have a motivation to want to learn. I don't blame them for not wanting to learn about quadratic equations. They're useless. They're stupid.
I agree. I agree. And this is something that they can actually learn to start navigating that field and avoiding all the weeds.
Exactly.
And it can only benefit them.
100%.
Yes, everyone should be doing it.
And it's a life
And as far
skill.
as all the George Washington stuff, yeah, you only need to learn once that he was the first president. Only once.
But you learn it every year in history class for 8 straight years. Yeah.
And I'm tired of all
I
the
got
Adams
that.
slander. Both John and John Quincy get no love.
I have a funny John Adams story.
Oh, let's hear it.
So a few years ago, like 6 years ago or so, we took my mom for her, I guess it was her 60th birthday, to Boston. And we went on one of those like narrated bus tour rides through downtown. And the narrator was really funny. So we went we were in on the street. I forget where it was. It was in Boston somewhere. And there's a small, really old cemetery directly across the street from this bar. And the narrator says this is a historic cemetery. A number of Revolutionary War veterans and people of that era are buried here, including Sam Adams. So it's not a John Adams story; it's a Sam Adams story. And she said this is the only place in the world, because again, there's a bar across the street She goes, "This is the only place in the world where you can drink a cold Sam Adams while looking at a cold Sam Adams." Great.
Did you get a chance to take her on the ducks?
No, we didn't do that. We didn't do that, but we did go whale watching.
Okay,
Yes,
very cool.
So that was fun.
The ducks are fun in Boston, but it's an amazing thing in Seattle if you ever get up that way. Riding the ducks is great. These little amphibious vehicles that go on land and water.
Oh, that's pretty cool.
And the tours are really fun and pretty educational too.
Yeah, this was very educational, this bus
Yeah,
tour.
you'll learn a lot about the area you're in.
Yeah, no, I enjoyed that a lot. But yeah, no, so let's get the let's teach these kids about NIL. So to answer the question, yes, introduce it in high school, force it in college too. Like this is not something they should learn. They take one class and say we check the box. No, this is something that if you're gonna drill,
you learn in high school and you continue that education in your freshman and sophomore years
learning
of college.
I mean, you could build an entire mathematical curriculum
Mm-hmm.
if you're pursuing a degree of 60 credits and 12 of them have to be math. There's no reason all 4 classes couldn't be along
4
this
semesters.
theme. Yeah, that couldn't be all along this theme.
Right.
There's no reason they couldn't be. There's plenty here to warrant that type of coverage. It's not a simple thing, these NIL deals. They're very complex.
No, they're not.
So,
but even for like 98% of the population, basic learning how to manage your money, learning what your finances are and what they can do for you, what you have to do to maintain and grow them.
Oh yeah, no,
are basics that need to be taught.
To me, we could spend 3 years on this, but like the education system needs a serious overhaul in the direction of practical.
Yes,
in up and down across the board. I mean, like, things I would love to do that I don't know how to do to this day, like change a tire. I guess I can kind of do that, but not well. I like to have practiced that a lot growing up. I like change my own oil, grow my own food, harvest my own water, slaughter and butcher my own meat, hunt, fish. Like these are all life skills that if we learn these in school, we'd be so much more self-efficient in life. And then you add in personal finance and things of that nature.
Yes.
Physical fitness, like real physical fitness, not just go play pickup basketball for an hour. Now, I enjoyed that, but like...
Or go play dodgeball, which the big kids have the advantage.
Yeah, that was fun too. But like...
if you were a big kid, yeah.
Oh, I wasn't a big kid. I had fun with it anyway, though, because, it was just... But my point is, like, actually teach me, what is my heart rate supposed to be? What does it mean when it's elevated? How do I lower it? Like things that we all learn along the way in life through trial and error. There's no reason they can't teach us that stuff while they have us captive in the school years and let us out on the world in a much more practical and, successful foundation. Yes. Like there's no reason that can't be done other than they just don't. And
another class that would not just be good for athletes is basic nutritional info.
Yes. No, now
how to navigate it.
Yes,
and
absolutely. 100%. No, I'm talking to everyone now. But like those NIL things, to the spirit of the question, those are unique to athletes and should be an elective that pretty much you have to be a known athlete. It shouldn't
be an elective. It should be part of the curriculum.
For athletes.
For athletes,
yes. Yep. So
you can build, just like you said, you can build your curriculum around that. So don't worry about taking algebra and geometry and calculus.
No, you don't need that garbage anyway. No one needs that garbage. Those should be electives. If you're going to be an engineer or an architect or some other field where that stuff's relevant, or a scientist, by all means, knock yourself out. Take it from me. I don't need it either. But those should be the electives, not the requirements. We got this.
Although
backwards.
I'll tell you what, in high school, I took mechanical drafting.
Yeah.
So we had to lug that big old draft board in because, of course, there was no machine to do it on. But it was a learning experience, as was machine shop. These are basics that people can use.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Why not teach more things that can help in your career? And the NIL is a perfect example of how it can really help make an athlete's career.
100%. Absolutely. Well, there you go. Well, there is our question of the day. Let's take a break. We'll come back. We'll wrap up the hour with a little basketball. We'll get you set for the top 5. We got, of course, baseball to get into hour number 2 as well. Back after this, the Gary Ayd Show here on The Cave. All right, we're back. It's the Gary Ayd Show. So, obviously, last night the Knicks put an absolute drubbing on the Nets. What a
You're being
total
nice.
beatdown! Oh man, I mean, jeez, I don't know what to say. I mean, that was just a class A, old school, back behind the woodshed paddling. I mean, that was just a total deconstruction.
And let's talk about Jalen Brunson, shall we?
Oh, he kicked some serious butt.
39, 6, and 5. He was 15 for 18 from the field, 5 for 6 from 3. In fact, the Knicks were 20 for 35 from 3, 57%.
Yeah.
It helps you when teams don't play a lot of defense, but you're on when you're shooting that efficiently.
Oh, you kidding me? What a epic game from him. And the other thing too is like he really didn't take a lot of shots. I mean, he just
No,
made
18.
everything he took, like you said, like his total craziness. Big
39
fan.
points and 18 shots is about as efficient as you can get.
What did they have? Like 45 points after the first quarter or something like that?
Oh, it was a blowout from the opening tip.
I mean, that was over in about 4 minutes.
Yeah.
Game. Oh man. I'll tell you what. If Brunson puts a few seasons together in a row, like the one he's enjoying this year, don't be surprised if 3 or 4 years from now he's not batting around in like MVP conversation, because there will be, I mean, first of all, he's awesome, but he's going to benefit if he strings a couple of years together like this from the New York media immensely, particularly if the Knicks find some success during that time. His brand is going to be built up, because let's be real, winning an MVP requires a number of things. It requires, obviously, you have to be great, but then it requires being sort of a known, attractive name and not someone who won it recently most of the time. Jokic is proving an exception right now, but generally speaking, there is an element of it's this guy's turn like pecking order waiting lists sort of to these awards a lot of times. But Brunson has established himself as an elite player in the NBA this year. If he sustains that and cements that status over the next 2 years, I wouldn't be shocked if he starts getting, and the Knicks enjoy some success. It wouldn't shock me if he gets a few MVP votes. I'd be surprised if he won, but I wouldn't be surprised at all to hear his name in the conversation in a couple of years.
Nope. As long as the team continues to stay relevant, I wouldn't be surprised either.
Yep. Yeah. He just a total beatdown.
Something we didn't talk about yesterday. The Spurs broke their losing streak.
Hey.
Oh, don't worry. They'll start another one soon enough.
They're working on it.
The Bucks are up to 16 in a row. Is this team getting hot at the right time? And if you're Boston, who is now in second place in the East, are you concerned at all?
I mean, I'll tell you what. If I'm you're talking about the Bucks, if I'm Boston, I'm terrified of the Bucks.
Yeah.
I mean,
Middleton's rounding into shape.
That's the one
Holiday's
team I'm
been
scared
incredible. Holiday's having an all-pro year.
No, he's been amazing. I mean,
and of course, Giannis is Giannis.
Yep.
Lopez, the most understated player in the league for everything he adds. That team's just downright scary.
No, they really are. And they've always been so deep and so complete. And the amazing part is when you have that many pieces, they play a pretty deep rotation, and they always have.
Yeah.
And when you have that many moving pieces, for them all to complement each other as perfectly as these pieces do and fit as seamlessly as they do, it's a true work of art by that front office. They've built an amazing roster that they've sustained. I mean, they've had this basic group together for quite a while now.
True.
Very impressive.
True. Oh, and I did a little research while we were on break, and the Grizzlies are 23rd in attendance, averaging about 17,100 a game at home. So they're not sold out.
Yeah.
A lot, but that's a lot better than I remember. For the record, the Thunder's 30th with 15,200, filling 84% of their building.
Who tops the list?
Tops the list, the Sixers.
Okay. Interesting.
Averaging 20,300 plus, but it's only 96%.
Right.
The Mavericks fill 105% of their building, and they're third, averaging 20,154. So about 200 shy of the Sixers.
No kidding. That's pretty cool. Well, good stuff.
And you know something? We haven't talked about the Lakers.
Nope.
No LeBron, no AD, might be better off. No D'Angelo Russell. That's okay. Schroeder had a big game.
Yep, they won anyway. Pretty amazing.
Reeves played real well. He and Troy Brown each had 19. Shai Gilgeous-Alexander went off, but not badly. They were pretty focused on him. Reeves said that they knew coming in they had to pay him the most attention.
Well, yes.
And Reeves, it's like a homecoming. He's
from there, right?
He played in college at Oklahoma.
Right.
And he didn't miss. He made all 5 of his field goals, 8 of 9 free throws. He missed a free throw in the final minute, and he hated himself for it.
AD is I'm running out of like anger.
They did this without him.
I know. But guy, when you have an ankle, like, man, LeBron's out. Put your big boy pants on. Please play. Come on, man. Come on. But yeah, no, they won without him. But still, it drives me nuts. Oh, I can't stand it.
You're not going to be playing Oklahoma City every night.
No. That is very true.
Who's competitive, but
There we go. All right, let's hit a quick break. We'll come back. We got hour two around the corner. Top five news you can use, baseball previews. That's what's on tap. I have a little interesting factoid from the football universe as well that I'm going to share at some point in the hour. So next up
Ooh.
is the top five. Looking forward to that. We'll be back in a few minutes. The Gary Ayd Show here on the Cave. Alrighty, welcome back to the Gary Ayd Show here on The Cave, cavetalkradio.com, the Cave Talk Radio app. Great to have you aboard, Gary Ayd, Rich Anselmo. Hour 2, top of the hour, time for the top 5.
This is the moment we've all been waiting for. It's time for Cave Talk Radio's Top 5.
All right, there we have it. What do we got today, Rich?
I took a deep dive
Ooh.
into some past NBA contracts. I went back to 1989. It's not fair to go back further.
Okay.
And found about 19 or 20 of some of the most ridiculously bad contracts I've ever seen. I know some of these will be on your list. Give me your top 5 worst NBA contracts ever signed by a team.
Wow.
And you have some right in your backyard.
Oh,
so.
yes. Oh, man. Well, I'll give you one that comes right off the top of my head. Jerome James. He had like 12 good minutes of basketball in his whole NBA career. And Isaiah Thomas is like, yeah, that's the guy. Let's sign him to a 3-year, $45 million deal. Or it was something stupid like that. I have to look at the exact figures. But it was something astronomical for a guy who basically was nothing. And had like
I think it was even longer than that.
It might have been 4 or 5 years. Like it was a really long deal for like a lot of money for a guy who was like pretty much he was like DJ Benda. Like he was pretty much worthless. It's like it was awful. Totally awful. So we're doing the top 5 worst contracts in NBA history. Well,
your top 5 worst contracts.
My top 5, yes.
Because I might have something that's egregious that you think, well, that's not that
bad.
Right.
I understand. Well, another good one. What about our friend Steve Francis? Signed that contract initially with Houston, got traded about 6 times, barely played throughout that contract. He was a good one. That guy comes to mind.
He had a lot of injuries,
too. A lot of injuries, yeah. Grant Hill's contract with Orlando, similar for the same reason.
Same reason.
Like, I don't know if we want to maybe exempt injury, unforeseeable injury, because, I mean, I guess theoretically.
I would, because the Grant Hill contract was not egregious.
That wasn't a bad idea. At the time, he was one of the 3 best players in the world.
Even though money-wise it made my list.
Right.
As did the Penny Hardaway deal.
But had they stayed healthy, both of those guys would have been worth that. You know, because they were both like game changers. So, let's exempt those type of contracts. Like Jerome James was an obvious, that he's not that good.
5 years, $30 million that deal was, by the way.
That was just dumb. And everyone should have known that. Timothy Mozgov comes to mind.
Yes.
He signed a huge deal.
I actually have that as a twofer.
Oh, you have that twice?
No. Between him, they signed him and Luol Deng on the same day.
Oh, yeah.
4 years, a combined $136 million.
Ooh.
And Mozgov was not that good, and Deng was spent.
Yeah, he was done by them. Deng at one point was a really good player, but he was done by them.
Yes.
All right, so Timothy Mozgov.
Mozgov got 4 years, $64 million. Deng got $72 million.
I'll tell you what.
And afterwards, he played 79 games.
Oops. I'll tell you what. Ben Simmons' current contract is looking pretty rosy, isn't it? That's looking good.
But it's still too early to.
Yeah, he's looking like he might be out of the league sooner than later. That's the one that comes to mind right now in terms of active things. Going back a little bit further, what about the deal that I think it was the Kings signed with Mikey Moore? That's another good one.
Yes, Mikey Moore had about a month of decent defensive play.
Yes. Yep.
And turn that into a 5-year deal worth about $6 million a year. Real similar to the Jerome James contract.
Very similar. What about, and I always liked him. He was a decent player, but he got a lot of money because he was really close friends with LeBron. What about Tristan Thompson's contract? That was an albatross for what he was. It wasn't like he was a useless player, but he was a definite limited role player who did like one thing really well, rebounding.
Yeah, but there's a difference between a Tristan Thompson contract that paid him for playing defense and rebounding and cleaning up around the basket, basically, than say an Omer Ashik. Remember that one? Remember that one when was it the Rockets put that poison pill in there where the third year just escalated so much it couldn't be matched? And then, of course, the Pelicans gave up another one of their number one picks to trade for the guy in that year, in the poison pill year.
Whatever.
That was 5 and 60 with incentives for Omer Ashik.
Omer Ashik. What?
So no, the Thompson one is not.
That doesn't make the list. Okay, fair enough. Here's a fun one. I don't care that he never got it beyond his rookie contract. Whatever Denver paid, I think it was Denver. Whatever they paid Nicolas Shkitishvili, wasn't worth it. I don't care for his $10. It was still horrible. Worst draft pick, I think, in my lifetime. Definitely.
Somebody said Steven Jackson. Anthony, thank you for that. Jackson is one on my list. Here's a Knicks one you conveniently ignored.
What do we got?
Joakim Noah. Remember when they paid a washed-up Joakim Noah 4 years at $72 million?
I do remember that. That's a good one. What about Kemba Walker's contract?
Paid $450,000 a minute. He played 95 games in those 4 years. They gave him the deal a year after he played 29.
Anthony's on a roll. Good contributions, Anthony. He's got a.
Yes, I had the Steven Jackson and the Gilbert Arenas one on my list.
Oh, that's a bad one, man. That's a rough one. And see, to me, that was foreseeable. Like that qualifies because yes, Gilbert Arenas put up big numbers, but that guy was always a losing player. You know what I mean? Like he never was a guy that really made his teams better, ever.
Dylan, this is where you're wrong. I would have never signed with those people. I don't trust them.
What a zinger from Dylan.
Believe me, I'm used to it.
Oh man. That's a good one. Dylan throwing out zingers today. Oh man, what a list. I mean, you could just go on and on. There's so many of these. I mean,
there's some we haven't even touched on. Eddie Curry's deal with the Knicks.
Yeah,
that's a 6-year albatross.
That was definitely a bad one.
Chandler Parsons, that 4-year, $94 million deal.
He played like 12 games.
And you notice he didn't manage to retire until that contract was done.
Naturally.
Played 95 games.
Wow. That's a pretty good return on your investment if you're Chandler Parsons, I'll tell you that.
Yep. And then Memphis finally got rid of him, dumped him to the Hawks, who paid him $25 million to
go away.
Almost never suit up.
Yeah. Oh, there's so many. All right.
Josh Smith, remember when he was the next great thing?
He was good for a little while, but yeah, he faded fast.
Yeah.
But he was good for a little while, particularly with Atlanta.
Yeah, but then he went to Detroit.
Yes, that was the end of him.
And it was ridiculous. He was a 3-point, a small forward that couldn't shoot, especially from 3. And he got $15 million a year to basically all of a sudden be average.
Yeah.
And 1/3 of the way through the season, Stan Van Gundy just said, I don't care what his contract is. He's gone.
Cut him.
Yep.
That's the end of it.
Just cut him.
Wow. Stan Van. He was always a coach of little patience.
Yes.
Very little
remember
patience.
Bryant Reeves.
Bryant Big Country Reeves.
Big Country. Big Country was just a nickname for I never work out.
This is the Wayback Machine. Oh,
6 years, $65 million contract.
Oh,
man, he liked cheeseburgers a lot more than conditioning.
I mean, I don't blame him. I do too.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, cheeseburgers are wonderful.
Darius Miles, remember him?
I do remember him. Another one from those Clippers years. What about Stromile Swift? Another glorious.
But Portland's the one that gave him the big contract.
Yeah, that's true. Right.
6-year, $48 million.
Yeah, that was a winner, huh? What about? Oh, I got one more good one for you. Larry Hughes. He got an enormous contract from Washington.
Yeah.
And he had like one good year. It was like 2002. It was him, Butler, and Jameson had like one good. No, it was him, Gilbert Arenas. It wasn't. It was Gilbert Arenas, Hughes, and Butler. Jameson was, I think, gone by then. It was 3 of those 4 guys.
Yeah. Dylan throws something in. What about missed contracts?
Oh, guys who should have signed something they turned down and they got.
And look what Schroeder has in LA now. Oladipo did the same thing.
That's a much shorter list, but those are like the 2 most prominent examples.
He took a chance on himself.
I couldn't think about more. Like, I don't know if I can even come up with 5 contracts like that. Like, there's not many examples of that, to be honest with you. Those are like the 2 big ones that you'll think about immediately.
Matthew Dellavedova comes to mind. There's a million of these.
Delly. Remember when he was the Steph stopper for like a game and a half, and everyone was like talking it up, and I was like,
and then Steph said, "What?
Yeah, I don't know about all that. That's not a good look." Steph stopper, yeah, okay. Oh, speaking of stoppers, another guy who got a stupid contract, the Kobe stopper, Ruben Patterson. He held up to like 40 points a game.
Oh, the Sonics were good for those. Remember? Well, you might not remember Jim McIlvaine.
I don't remember McIlvaine. No.
A big stiff center that signed a really big 6-year deal. I forget what it was for, but do I have him on my list?
Whatever.
Way too long. McIlvaine, 7 years, $35 million.
Whatever the Clippers paid Bill Walton was too much.
He's on my list too.
He played about
one. He missed season. 2 full years. That's why I didn't put him in my final thing because.
Ooh, Lonzo Ball and Juwan Howard. Juwan Howard's a good one. You know, Chris Webber had a pretty crazy contract too, but he kind of falls in that Grant Hill category where, like, when it was signed, it made sense because he was one of the best players in the game, but he just got hurt all the time.
Right. And Howard's contract was just, well, we got to keep him. And it was too much.
Right. It was too much.
He was not Weber.
Bosch, Anthony puts in Bosch. I don't think Bosch was a bad deal. I mean, you were competing for championships. No one knew you were going to have like a blood clotting issue. Like, you know, that.
And he was necessary.
And he was necessary.
Those titles.
Very necessary. Yes. See, the way I'm doing this is I'm thinking of things like at the time the contract was signed, was it easily foreseeable by the team that this wasn't going to be good. Like, you know, and injuries to guys who were great players disqualify that for me. So that's why I'm not including Grant Hill.
Bosch does not belong on the list.
No, I agree.
Hardaway doesn't.
Yeah, right. Guys like that.
Will Lonzo Ball end up on this list at some point?
Well,
now he's out for the year.
He'll fall into the same category we're talking about right now if he does. I mean, the contract he was signed to for what he had proven to be able to do was reasonable. But if he's always hurt, then you can't play. Obviously, it's going to be a bad contract in the sense of you're not going to get your return, but it's not like a stupid contract. Like, it's not like they signed him to a deal that made no sense when he was healthy and playing, you know? So,
oh, back to that Jim McIlvaine thing. I put it on there because the money wasn't outrageous. 7 years, like almost $35 million. It's a little under $5 million a year. He was a 7'1" guy that couldn't ever play more than 15 minutes a night. They signed it after he had a career high of 3.8 points per game. 2 years into the deal, the Sonics threw his contract at the Nets, and they cut him 2 years before it ended. That's a legendarily bad contract.
Yes. That is a very bad contract. Ah, man, this is a long
Dylan
list.
just says, Ball seems like a Ben Simmons 2.0 to me. I think we've seen the last of him.
I don't know. I'm not done with them just yet, but we'll see. All right, let's try to put these in some type of order. Good luck. To me,
There's a lot there.
Jerome James will always top any of these type of lists for me. I can't not put him at the top of my list. That was so bad. And I remember when it happened, I was like, this guy's been in the league for a few years. I've never seen him play except for like one half of one game. He got like 8 rebounds and like 9 points. And now all of a sudden we're signing him to like 4-year deals at like almost 10 million a season, like 7-8 million a season. Like, what are you doing? Like,
he actually had a little spurt with the Sonics where he was decent.
Yes. For like
Anthony said
games.
Ben Wallace. Good call. He's on my list.
Oh, the second contract he signed with Detroit.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a good one. That's a good call. Yeah. Man, I tell you what, I don't know, Anthony, I don't know what your line of work is, but you need to be like a consultant or something for these NBA teams, like the last man to sign off on these things. Like, no, don't do it. You have like a record of these things somewhere, don't you? You must have like some kind of like database. He's dropping all kinds of names here.
Either that or he has one of the best photographic memories.
Yeah, I'm telling you. That's good. Let's see. So Jerome James is 1. I think I'm gonna go at number 2 with I think I'm gonna go Chandler Parsons at number 2. That was an outrageous amount of money for him, even when he was healthy, and he never was healthy. Like, so
he was decent in Houston when he.
Yeah. Well, the thing is, I think the deal with Chandler Parsons is when you signed him, you already knew he was an injury risk. So that sort of clemency doesn't apply here because it was a known thing. When Grant Hill got signed to that big deal with Orlando, he did not have an injury history at that point.
Right.
You know, and neither did Steve Francis for that matter.
Or Penny Hardaway.
Or Penny or Bosch.
Yeah.
This guy did. Parsons did. You knew he was a problem. So that's another one. Let's see. So I'm going to go him at 2.
I know when you put
Yeah.
James up there at number 1, I have to lump him and Curry together because those were both
Curry.
Those were both egregiously bad contracts.
Yeah, that was a terrible. Let's just put Curry at 3. Why not? We got space for him. I think. I don't know. Maybe not. Not hardly any space for him. The guy's huge. That was the whole problem.
Yeah, he went up to like about 340 when he played for the Knicks.
Eddie Fried Curry. Timothy Mozgov gets to go at number 4.
Yeah.
Me. And
as another one too, if you want to talk about people that ate their way out of the league, Sean Kemp.
Oh God!
When he got to Cleveland, and that was a big deal, he looked like he ate Cleveland. It was ridiculous. It was ridiculous, just how big he got.
Yeah, he did get huge.
And for the first year of that, he was still effective.
Yeah, well, because everyone still thought he could jump, so they kept buying those pump fakes. And then at some point, the league figured out, wait, he can't jump anymore.
Wait, he's 330 pounds now.
Don't
he was
bite
270 before.
Yeah, don't bite the pump fake. He can't jump anymore. And that was the end of his career.
Geez, when he was good, though.
Chris Anderson? I don't think so. I don't remember a really crazy contract with him.
No. He didn't even make my list because I didn't see the egregious numbers I saw with some of these people.
Let's see, who can I put at 5? Who's worthy of the last spot here?
You got the Ashik deal. You got Brian Reeves.
That's
you got
good one,
Darius
Dylan.
Miles.
Oh,
you got Steven Jackson. You got Noah.
No, Dylan just threw a nice one out there. Roy Hibbert with the Pacers. Oh,
yeah.
That's a really good one. He was an awful. Yeah, we got Curry on here. Eddie Curry.
He says heart condition. Because he went to 300.
Yeah, that was
pounds.
after the fact. Yeah, that came out years after he'd been out of the league.
Yeah.
he ate himself out of the league, and I'm guessing that heart condition could potentially be part of it. But although I know he had that, like, it might have been congenial, but certainly it was a bad contract either way.
Roy Hibbert.
Roy Hibbert's a really good one. I think it's going to come down to him or Noah. I think I'm going to go with Hibbert because Noah was better than Hibbert was when they were both relevant, because Hibbert really was only decent on defense for like a couple of years, and then he just forgot how to play. So I'm going to go with Roy Hibbert. I think that's a great one, Dylan.
Yeah, it is.
That's going to be number 5.
Kudos to Dylan.
Yeah, that's a really good one.
Excellent call. And I was shocked when Hibbert went downhill that fast.
Oh, because he was like 27. I mean, that was.
I know.
Like you thought
they didn't pay like a washed Joakim Noah or anything.
Right. No, it really is crazy. So there you go. There's our top 5. Good stuff. That was a fun one today. Let's go ahead and take a break. We'll come back. We'll do the baseball stuff. It's the Gary Ayd Show. Back after this here in the cave.
Do you want to save money on your next flight? Then pick up the phone and call. That's right, call. Because the best prices are not online. They're with SmartFares. See, SmartFares has special deals with the airlines. When they have unsold seats, they use SmartFares to fill them. So you get airline tickets at crazy low prices. They have access to great prices and discounts at over 500 different airlines. Plus 300,000 hotels and rental car companies. Their prices are too low to publish online. With the extra money you'll save, you can book another trip or treat yourself to dinner or shopping. So stop searching all of those travel sites to find the lowest price on your next flight. Let one of our SmartFares expert travel agents find the best price for you. Call SmartFares today and get ready to see the world with a fat wallet.
800-370-2460. 800-370-2460. 800-370-2460. That's 800-370-2460.
Come on, you watch the news. Be prepared to pay more taxes. Then if you owe back taxes or haven't filed in a few years, get ready. The IRS, the largest collection agency in the world, will be coming after you with the power to collect taxes by any means they want to. Hey, they can freeze your bank account, your passport, even padlock your business. Oh, good times. Look, if the IRS claims you owe them $5,000 or more in back taxes and they're coming after you, don't panic. Call my friends at Get a Tax Lawyer first. Their job is to negotiate with the IRS and save you money. They're experts at it. That's all they do, and you can trust them. In some cases, they have reduced a $50,000 tax bill to less than $1,000. If you owe the IRS $5,000 or more in back taxes, call now for a free consultation.
Call 800-649-8617. 800-649-8617. 800-649-8617. That's 800-649-8617.
Little good breaking news for the Lakers. LeBron James is not going to require surgery on his injured ankle, so that's good news. This is according to Sham Charania of The Athletic, so that's good for the Lakers. We'll see.
Have they changed the recovery time? Is it still 3 to 4 weeks?
That wasn't in this update. It was just that it's not severe enough to require surgery. So it
good.
Good. So that's good news either way. So anyway, that's that. Now let's do our baseball. We got the Blue Jays and, of course, the Phillies to talk about today. We'll get to the Mets and Yankees on Monday. No show tomorrow, travel day for us. So we'll be back Monday after the conclusion of today's program. Let's look at the Blue Jays first, Rich, starting the AL.
Okay, before we do that,
yeah,
I know we didn't give it enough yesterday with the Atlanta Braves, but when I went through and took a deeper dive on their roster and on their immediate prospects, I think that team set up pretty good for a while.
Oh, yeah. Yeah,
the situation isn't as dire as I made it sound yesterday.
Okay. All right. Well, there we go. So let's dive into Toronto. This is a team that I'm getting tired of waiting on. I've been sort of on the bandwagon of the Blue Jays the last 2 or 3 years, like really excited, thinking they're making a move, coming into their own. And they seem to be stuck in the mud. They're like just good enough to tease you a little bit. They have some razzle dazzle. They have guys that, produce great highlights and moonshots and stuff. Of course, Vlad is amazing. Other guys on that team are really good. But at the end of the day, they're not progressing. They remind me a lot of the last time the Angels were like in the playoff contention. They were like a few years where they were kind of stuck in the mud. You kept predicting that they were going to turn it around. They got into the playoffs one year, bowed out meekly, and that was kind of the end of them. I'm beginning to get those vibes with Toronto, and I want to be wrong. I love watching Vlad, but this team hasn't really improved in a number of years. They've not really improved in the standings. They've not really improved in their roster. Their pitching is still a mess. I'm getting sick of these guys, Rich. I have to be honest.
This is, it's incomprehensible to me. It's they made the playoffs last year. Well, yeah, shouldn't a team with that much talent make it?
Yeah, they
every year.
I mean, what did they make it and then get beat in the first round? Right?
They got off to a slow start.
Yep.
Yankees pulled ahead of them quickly.
Yep.
Vlad wasn't what he was in 2021, but he was still good. Bichette's a hell of a player. Does all the little things and does them right. He's excellent offensively and defensively. Still, they made the playoffs, and they still have a lot of talent. But now is supposed to be the time. This is this team's prime. Where is it? Are they going to play like it's their prime? Will there be more urgency this year? Or will it just be another story like the Angels story? I mean, if you remember the Jays last year, look at that outfield. Springer, Lourdes Gurriel Jr., and Teoscar Hernandez. That's a power-hitting outfield.
Yes,
they hit a ton of balls.
Yep.
Well, they figured they had enough. So they traded Gurriel to Arizona, traded Hernandez to Seattle. They moved Springer to right. They brought in Kevin Kiermaier, who's excellent defensively, and Dalton Varsho, who everyone thinks is going to be great, but he never is. It makes sense if Varsho keeps hitting with the way he plays defense, which is excellent. But you don't think they're going to miss that offense that Gurriel and Teoscar Hernandez gave them? All of a sudden, there's depth out there too.
I was shocked that Gurriel wasn't re-signed.
I know. Well, they traded him.
Right. I was shocked that they didn't keep him as a priority, is what I mean. Because he is.
Oh, I know.
Not only is he a productive hitter, but he's a clutch hitter. That guy comes up with so many big hits.
I mean, the outfield will still be okay, but now where's your depth?
Yeah.
They're a top-heavy team. If they have injuries, forget it.
And they still don't have any pitching. Like, who's their pitching?
I think they added someone, but it wasn't.
I'm getting tired of waiting on this team to arrive, I guess is my point. Like, let's do it.
They have a couple starters that I think are good, but no depth, not enough in the bullpen. And it's, like I said, this is their prime. Either you do it now or you've wasted prime years of some of these guys so far.
Yep. No, it's time to make a move. It really is. All right.
Yeah.
Now, if I'm going to handicap them going into the year, all of this said, this AL East is a division in transition this year. It really is. Baltimore is a bit of a wild card. They had a really good year last year. Can they sustain it and can they build on it? We'll see. I don't have a lot of confidence in that organization. I think that's fair skepticism earned over many decades of incompetence.
Oh yeah. They haven't shown any reason not to.
So, but they're a wild card. They could.
But talent for talent, they're not bad.
They could make a move. Boston, we think, is probably pretty down this year. They do still have a few pieces that I really like, but I love their manager. I'm glad they kept Devers. There are some guys in this roster, but
I wish their manager could pitch.
Yeah, right. Yeah, I'm sure he does too. Probably be worth more money also. But then you look at the Rays. How do they keep doing it? You think at some point they're not going to be able to sustain the seemingly unsustainable, and it's just the Yankees. So there's so many like non-sure things in this division. The Yankees are like the only sure thing. The Blue Jays need to establish themselves this year as the second sure thing. Like there's no reason they shouldn't be able to do that this season, not later.
No, they have enough starting pitching to be decent.
Yep.
If they could add a bullpen arm, it would really help them. And they have enough hitting to compensate.
Yes. So go get
But-
it done. Get in
Yeah,
the playoffs.
you have
this
to
year.
get it done.
Yes, get in the playoffs this year. And then do something once you get there. I know they made it last year, but it barely counts.
They flamed out
right,
too.
exactly. So let's see you make some
Wasn't that
moves.
against Cleveland?
It was. Yep.
Yeah.
It was. All right. So now let's go over to the National League. The big bad Phillies. Now this roster is terrifying. You
Yes,
talk
it
about a
is.
lineup that you would never want to face. This lineup is absolutely petrifying to look at. I am nervous as all can be as a Met fan this year, looking at the fact that we're gonna have to play this team how many times, and then probably in the playoffs. Oh man, this roster is scary. There is some questions about the pitching, but they might average 8 runs a game with this lineup, so it might not matter what the pitching is.
They are terrifying. This lineup is just
Up and down and top to bottom. You look at this
Yes.
lineup. I'm gonna just pull it up real quick. The projected lineup. Let's see if I can pull that up real quick. Because it's a scary one. There we go. There it is. So right now, projected lineup for the Phillies: Schwarber, Baum, Stott, Hall. Oh, wait a second. This isn't right. What the hell is this crap? That's not their right roster. There it is. There it is. I was gonna say, what are they doing to me? They're pulling up Babylon B here. Trey Turner, Kyle Schwarber, Rhys Hoskins, JT Realmuto, Nick Castellanos, and a guy named Bryce Harper. Have fun with all that. That is a scary, scary lineup.
and enough pitching to be dangerous.
Yes. Really scary stuff. I think they're the best team in the division. I think that the Mets' chance to overtake them hinged on consummating the Correa deal, and they didn't do it. And I think that's going to cost them this division. I really do. I think they are still one big bat short now by comparison to their division rival. And, like to your point, Atlanta is still plenty scary enough that I wanted that extra big bat. I really, really did. So we'll see. But this is a scary, scary team. So there you have it. That is one hell of a lineup. And I think they're going to win I think they're going to go back to back. I think they're going to win the World Series again. I really do. With that lineup. How are you going to stop? How are you going to get them out? I mean, you have to hope for some injuries. Because that's
the only thing.
You got to hope for some injuries. You got to hope your pitching is better than they're hitting enough. I mean, I don't know. I think they're the best team in baseball this year. I really do. All right. Well, there we have it. That is so I guess they made the World Series. I said back-to-back. I meant go to back-to-back World Series and actually win it this time. That's what I meant to say. I just want to correct myself there. Obviously, the Astros won last year. All right. Let's take a break. We'll come back and we will do a little NFL news that I came up that I think will be interesting. And maybe we'll throw a little basketball in there too. We'll close it out with news you can use. Back after this, the Gary Ayd Show here on The Cave.
Are you like me? You have health insurance, but you don't have dental insurance. Do you need to get to the dentist right away? Maybe you need an implant or some other major service. Well, I found a dental insurance plan that's just right for you. It's called Spirit Dental. Spirit Dental offers a $100 lifetime deductible, a huge network of dentists. And here's the best part. There's no waiting periods. Yeah, that means you can call right now and have real dental insurance for you and your family tomorrow and get that immediate coverage you want. Spirit Dental has plans for just a few dollars a day, up to $5,000 annual maximum, and coverage for implants. Whatever age you are, the dental insurance you need is a free phone call away. Now don't wait, and be sure to ask about Spirit's vision plan. Here's the number: 800-631-9229. 800-631-9229. That's 800-631-9229.
Hey friend, life happens and you need money. What do? You call the special toll-free number we're about to give you. We will send you a link to your phone with details on how you can loan up to $5,000. Couldn't you use $5,000 to pay for your rent, pay grocery bills, get your car repaired, or whatever you need. It's up to you. We don't care. We're just here to lend you the money. And we'll lend people money with good, bad, or no credit at all. Of course, some terms and conditions apply, and you'll see those on the link we're going to send you. So if you need up to $5,000 maybe as soon as the next business day, call this number right now. We will text you a free link with details.
Paid for by Money Mutual. Call 800-586-7112. 800-586-7112. 800-586-7112. That's 800-586-7112.
All right, so here to check out the NFL stuff I've been teasing for the last couple of segments. So here it is. So this was the NFL team report cards. These were how players on all 32 teams in the league voted on how their team stacked up in terms of taking care of players, facilities, amenities, and things of that nature. And, you know, it was designed as a thinly veiled hit piece, another one on Dan Snyder, because the Redskins are last. And that's how it was positioned by, I think it was Gridiron Sports. But then
it's good information about a lot of the teams.
But the thing is, this is where I have a problem. I'm looking at the list, and you know who's 29th? So third from the bottom, fourth from the bottom? The Kansas City Chiefs.
Isn't it Kansas City?
Kansas City. Okay, you know who's 27th? Cincinnati. You know who's 30th? Chargers. There's no correlation here. Tampa Bay's 26th. I know they weren't good last year, but the Rams won the Super Bowl 2 years ago. They're 25th. There's no correlation here with being good and this stuff. Like, okay, so who's the best team? The Timberwolves. The Vikings. Okay, they were good last year, but yeah, a lot of people thought they were overrated. You know who's third?
I was one of them.
Yep. You know who was third? The Raiders. Yeah, how'd that go? How about the Houston Texans?
Well, this isn't about how good you are.
Well,
this is what.
Oh no, I know that. But what I'm saying is the implication, the way this was posted was, see, the Dan Schneider's this evil guy, and the one of the team's terrible because he doesn't take care of his players. That was how this was posted. And what I'm saying is,
but there were a lot of owners in that list that didn't take care of their players. If you read,
but there's a lot of them that do, that are near the bottom, like Kansas City. They take care of their guys wonderfully.
You don't know that. You don't know what issues players have that they may feel are not addressed.
They keep re-signing. They don't have turnover.
Well, they want to win.
Well, there you go. So to me, this whole list is like just a thinly veiled shot at one guy, basically. And these things that these players are saying are important to them don't really translate to where players are choosing to play at all. So how important are they? Houston's fourth. Is anyone knocking down the door to go play for the Houston Texans? I don't think so. Is Aaron Rodgers considering Houston? I doubt it. Is Derek Carr on there? Like, so that's my point.
Yeah, he has family history there. He's not.
Yeah, he has traumatic experience. That's right. David would kill him and cut him off at the pass. No, don't do it. I won't let you.
I understand part of it. I do. I think it's just, do we get these things? If we're looking for some basic amenities players feel they should have, we don't get them here, but we get them there. Will that make that big of a difference on where someone's going to sign, which was supposedly what this research was supposed to determine? I doubt it.
Yeah, I can't imagine anyone's picking to sign with the Texans over, say, the Chiefs or the Chargers. Like,
no, people will take less money to go to Kansas City because they want to win.
Right. Or even a team that's like good but not championship good. Like take the Chargers, for example, or take a team like the Pittsburgh Steelers. They're 22nd, the Steelers. Or is someone going to choose to sign with the Raiders or the Texans over the Steelers? Probably not.
Maybe the Raiders if you're looking at playing time.
I mean, look, money changes everything, right? Of course. So if someone is willing to radically overpay, of course. But we're talking like offer to like offer. This stuff's not going to be a tiebreaker.
Right. I mean, and how deep did you really go into this? Did you see some of the issues? One player took a case of Gatorade home.
Yeah, that was
the team told him he can't do that. If they were smart, they wouldn't have done that. They'd have just charged him for it.
Right.
I mean, it's not the team's responsibility to hydrate your family.
No, it's definitely not.
No. I mean, some of it's ridiculous.
Yep. No question about it.
I saw a lot of unnecessary stuff on there. I mean, and some teams like Atlanta, I mean, making players pay for their meals. Come on. Don't nickel and dime. And the Bengals have nickeled and dime for years.
Oh, the Bengals are notorious for that. They always have been.
I mean, if you do want to keep your players, don't nickel and dime them on little things that you can fix. If they don't like your workout facility or something, there's nothing you're going to do about that.
No.
That's your facility. If 30 players say, the facility really needs maybe this and this, I'm sure most teams would upgrade to it.
Right.
But if one guy's bitching about how much Gatorade he can take home, come on.
The other thing, you talk about facilities, and this is just like a corollary to this larger conversation.
That was a big part of this too.
I'm always surprised.
Amenities and facilities.
I'm always surprised at the level of variance in amenities and facilities that still exists in the NFL and in other major sports, because I would have just assumed this stuff for the most part had been standardized long ago, and it doesn't seem to have been, which I find interesting. Just an observation.
Oh, I know.
I find very interesting.
Until Buffalo upgraded their weight room and their training facilities, I remember talking to a couple players that came here for workouts and interviews that said, man, the facilities are better at Oregon or at Stanford. Or
right.
The weight room's better at our school. And that's pathetic. This is $1 billion business, and you're nickel and diming on facilities and meals and things like that. You're making money.
Right.
Pay it. Just fix this stuff.
Yeah, it really is silly. All right, let's take a break.
Not the stupid stuff, but
right. Yeah, see, I understand. Let's take a break. We'll come back. We're going to close it out with a little hockey and a little news you can use. Back after this, last few minutes of the show. You're on The Cave.
Do you own a timeshare? Well, face the facts. You made a mistake. You made a bad purchase. A timeshare is not an investment. It's a money pit that continues forever. If you use your timeshare, that's great. But if you don't and you want to legally get out of your contract, call my friends right now at the Timeshare Exit Hotline. They're an experienced team of lawyers who help good people like you get out of a timeshare contract that they just don't want. Don't throw away your money on maintenance fees. Use it for things you really want. We can help you end your timeshare contract and stop the money drain immediately. If you're ready to move on with your timeshare, call our team right now.
Cancel your timeshare now with a free call. 800-741-9557. 800-741-9557. 800-741-9557. That's 800-741-9557. If you're living with diabetes and using insulin, you know the pain of pricking your fingers over and over again. Ouch! Well, by wearing a small remote device called a continuous glucose monitor, or CGM, you can reduce the pain of pricking your fingers. If you administer insulin 3 or more times per day or use an insulin pump, call now and learn how a CGM can help you.
Painless. No more pricking my finger.
No finger pricks.
Convenience. They delivered it free and they took care of all the paperwork.
You can reduce pain right away. Plus, it's accurate, easy to use, and helps you spend more time in range. And if you have insurance, you can get a new CGM at little or no out-of-pocket cost. Call now and get free shipping of your new CGM. Plus, we'll bill your insurance for you. 800-826-5884. 800-826-5884. 800-826-5884. That's 800-826-5884.
All right, we're back. Let's hit a little hockey, and then we'll do the news you can use. What do we got in the NHL, Rich?
2 games involving locals last night. The Rangers beat Philly 3-2, and you only have one more day to wait for Patrick Kane to make his debut. The Devils, in a game they had led 5-1. This was a high-scoring mess, but they beat Colorado 7-5 in a fun and exciting offensive game. The trade deadline's Friday. There's not going to be anyone left. We had like 6 major deals yesterday. Arizona traded Jacob Chikrin. He's a 24-year-old defenseman, and he's not a rental. He's got 2 years left on a reasonable $4.5 million contract, and he's already one of the top defensemen in the league. They got him for a 2023 first-round pick and second-round picks in 24 and 25. That makes Ottawa better, and it makes me laugh at the teams bitching about they're asking too much for Chikrin. Really? You're asking too much for a great defenseman. There was like 6 other trades. I'm not going to get into them all, but the LA Kings traded Jonathan Quick, and it broke my heart. I wanted to see him going out playing his whole career in LA. He won 2 Stanley Cups there. He won the Conn Smythe for best player in the playoffs in one of their cup years. He's the 3rd leading all-time winner in American goaltending behind Ryan Miller and John Van Beesbrook. I hate seeing veteran players treated like that, and I know Quick is just crushed. That's it. Rant over.
Rant over. All right. Well, there you have it. All right.
I wanted to see him retire as a King like Brown did.
Yep. Yeah, because he can't have
like
too
a
much
couple
longer
others
left, right? He's about at the end of the line, though.
He is, yeah. And I know they got a young defenseman they really need. But, man. And he's going to Columbus, too, which is the worst team in the league. And I don't think he's going to play there. I have a feeling Columbus is going to do the right thing and try to get him to a contender.
That's like that's like very Belichickian of them. It's like I remember when who was it? It was an outside linebacker a few years ago. Jamie Collins, that's who it was like giving Belichick a hard time or something, doing something he didn't like. He said, "Oh yeah, watch this." He traded him to Cleveland.
Yes.
For like a nothing pick, just like a total screw you trade. Oh, legendary. All right. We got a couple minutes.
Okay.
What do we got for some news you can use?
Aaron Rodgers says he's going to make his decision, quote, soon enough. What does that mean?
It means soon enough.
Is he really going to make a decision? Is he ever going to make a decision? He hasn't even decided whether he's going to play or not.
Right.
And Rodgers, said, I remember before Favre retired, there were times in April and May we weren't sure if he was coming back because he didn't attend any of the off-season stuff.
Yep.
And then he does retire and he says, no, in June, I'm coming back after the OTAs. And then he got traded to the Jets.
Yep.
Rodgers said he's taking his sweet time.
Can history repeat itself?
I don't think he's going to retire. I think he's going to play, and I think he's going to take his time. I don't think he needs to go to OTAs or.
Oh, definitely not.
All this crap. He's waiting to have conversations.
Yep.
He says he doesn't take it lightly. He doesn't want to drag people around, but there's a finality to it. Says, I'm going to meet with teams and make my decision. Is he going to retire or play is the first question. If he's going to play, is it going to be for the Packers or someone else?
Right.
Clock's ticking here.
It is. No question about it.
Here's something I found interesting. An Illinois player cites caffeine poisoning from a video game binge for missing
What?
practice. Yes.
How do you get caffeine from a video game?
Illinois forward Matthew Mayer cites caffeine poisoning from his binge. He said he had a caffeine-induced euphoria.
Was he drinking coffee while playing video games? At least that makes sense. Or is he talking the video game
coffee, Red Bull?
Oh, okay. I thought he was saying he got the caffeine from the video game itself. I was like, how is that even possible?
No, while he was playing video games. He returned to practice, but he missed the previous 2 days, and then they sat him out because his quote, "I've actually been sick the past few days. I had caffeine poisoning. I literally had 6 monsters the day of the game. I only had 1 before, but I had 5 after because I like a caffeine-induced euphoria to play video games."
Holy moly. That's
I could barely get out of bed the next day. It was basically like a caffeine hangover. So this is my first day of practicing since then. Wow. So he was in a 2-day hangover, and then he missed another day because he was sick.
Wow. Jeez. Hey.
And, the reporting here is not good because I want to know what video game he was playing, that he needed a euphoric caffeine high.
That sounds like Call of Duty to me. Like, it sounds like some game that requires intense concentration and, constant teamwork.
I've played Call of Duty. I've never needed a
caffeine rush.
A caffeine rush.
All right. Well, there we have it. So
of course, I just need those to live. We got time for one more.
Let's do it. What do we got?
A loose cat caused absolute havoc during a Red Sox Marlins game.
Toby, where are you? Okay. It wasn't him. Okay.
Tuesday night, Marlins Red Sox, a loose cat ran on the field and almost jumped on a reporter's head.
Oh, man.
Play was stopped while everyone watched this cat and wondered what it would do next. Tom Caron was the Nesson guy, and he handled it pretty classy. And this cat took off. This cat was fast and had a mission. Definitely not what I'd call just another night at the ballpark.
Yeah, probably not. Good stuff. Alrighty, well, that does it for us. We will be back on Monday. Enjoy your long weekend, everyone. We'll see you then. It's the Gary Ayd Show here on The Cave.